Now on News 6, a burn ban in 8 out of 9 Central Florida counties.
When we have these dry conditions and the winds, those embers can escape.
The biggest risks from the recent drought conditions. Plus, an Oak Ridge High School student is hit and killed outside of school. How community leaders are now pushing for safety changes. And countdown to tip-off for the Magic's crucial Game 5 against the Celtics. This is News 6 Mornings.
Good morning on your Tuesday. It is 7 a.m. I'm Stephen Monteiro.
I'm Justin Wormuth. Crystal has the day off. Chief Meteorologist Candace Campos with that forecast. A little bit of rain out there. Not a ton at this hour, but listen, at any hour, we're going to take it at this point.
You know, in those movies where there's a person who's walking through the desert and they finally see like a little thing of
mirage?
water. Yeah, mirage. That's what it feels like. We're like, is it air? No, it's a little bit. It's not a lot though.
I didn't get anything.
It could be the sprinkler just hitting you in the face.
I know. I had to crank that sucker up this morning too. And it's like random patches that just they have
So
so
yesterday I could have sworn it was coming. I smelt it. I felt it.
What's the name of the smell of rain, Steve?
Oh, you just said this
Come
during the
on.
6 a.m.
Come on. I said it at 5
You're
a.m.
like 5 a.m. You're like really famous
Starts with
on
a P.
Instagram. It
Starts with a P.
Oh, I don't know. Petrichor.
There it is. All right.
Look at that.
That's the smell of rain.
I feel so smart.
Yeah. Head on over to Instagram. We're gonna have to scroll back a bit. I'll re-up it a little bit so that way people know what the smell of petrichor smells like and why it smells the way it does. Looking at the rainfall totals. All right, enough science talk. Let's talk about how much rain actually fell in some of our rain gauges across Central Florida. We almost got up to about an inch of rain in Leesburg. Congratulations to you guys. A little more than a quarter of an inch of rain there in and around Windermere. So while some areas saw tons of rain, some folks here in Central Florida, up and down the I-4 corridor, saw nothing. Now let's look here at the radar right now. Although most of us are not seeing any rain at this point in time, there's a couple spotty showers, which is why we're going to hold it at about a 20% chance of rain for the next few hours. They're just crisscrossing over Geneva, moving in to the University Park area in and around UCF. So if you're heading out to classes this morning, just do be aware that we have relatively wet roads. And then down into Brevard County, just south of Canaveral Acres, and then just in and around Vieira, we're watching kind of a heavier pocket of downpours right along 95. So while most of us are dry, don't be surprised in some of our spots, the roads are a little slick. Rain chances for the next few hours still holding at about a 20%. We'll have more details on what temperatures look like today. I think you're going to like it coming up in just a bit. Now let's check on those roadways with Trooper Steve. He's got your News 6 traffic update.
Look, if she says you're going to like the temperatures, you're probably going to like it because she likes that nice, perfect Florida weather. Right now, your drive times on I-4 look good. If you're going westbound from Seminole County, I'm talking Sanford, 417 area, 20 minutes till you get downtown, which isn't too bad. 22 coming in from Osceola Parkway, and then 528 looks great this morning. All in the green, whether you're coming from Brevard, Central, or Western portions like I-4, 436 to I-4, 9 minutes. Everything nice and easy, but that crash still hanging out over at John Young Parkway in Deerfield. They'll hopefully clear that out here within the next few. No major delays, but I'm starting to pick up a little bit of northbound one there at JYP and Town Center Boulevard.
Grief counselors are expected back at an Orange County high school today after the tragic death of a 16-year-old girl. She was hit and killed by a car on her way to class, and now some are calling for changes to make that area safer. This all happened yesterday morning right outside of Oak Ridge High School on Oak Ridge Road. News 6's Mark Lehman following the latest on this. And Mark, troopers say the girl was not in a crosswalk at the time.
Yeah, according to FHP, she crossed further down the road instead of coming to this intersection. That put her directly into the path of that car as she was trying to get to school. The loss is a devastating one for those here, and one local leader tells us she's trying to make sure something like this doesn't happen again.
I know I speak for our entire Oak Ridge community when I express the extreme grief we feel at the loss of one of our own.
A message sent home to Oak Ridge High School parents after a tragic scene near the campus yesterday morning. The Florida Highway Patrol says a 16-year-old student was crossing Oak Ridge Road outside a crosswalk when she was hit by a car near Weingard Road.
We didn't see it happen, but we saw that it must be something serious. And then I heard that it was a student from Oak Ridge. And that was very upsetting.
People who lived nearby later learning the teen died from her injuries. It also sparked a response from Commissioner Myra Uribe, who is an Oak Ridge High School alum.
As a mom who has children, this is heartbreaking.
Uribe says she's working to have the school selected as one to get school zone speed cameras. While FHP hasn't said the driver in yesterday's crash was speeding, Uribe says it's important to explore every tool available to keep students safe.
But if we can help curb this behavior, I think that's a starting point.
As of right now, 30 schools are slated to get those school zone speed cameras, and there should be installed at some point next year, and Oak Ridge High School will likely be at the top of the list with yesterday's tragedy. For now, reporting live in Orange County, Mark Lehman, News 6.
Thank you, Mark. We're waiting for more answers from Orange County deputies after a death investigation in the middle of a neighborhood. We were there on Sunday as the sheriff's office cruisers lined up along Foxhound Lane near Alafaya Trail and Challenger Parkway. But it wasn't until more than 24 hours later the sheriff's office revealed a man was found there in what they're calling obvious signs of trauma. Now, that man, 40-year-old Patrick Druce, was taken to the hospital but later died from his injuries. Deputies aren't saying anything else about what happened, only that the investigation is active and ongoing.
Right now, a former teacher is facing serious charges just weeks after being hired by the Sumter County School District. According to the arrest report, a witness reported seeing Stephanie Arnott grab the head of a 5-year-old special needs student with both hands and forcefully turn it, causing her to cry. The report says on the same day, a second witness heard screams from Arnott's classroom, then went in and saw the victim wrapped tightly in a blanket, restricting the child's movement. News 6 spoke with a mother whose 5-year-old son was also in Arnott's class at Lake Panasoffkee Elementary.
When did you start to notice this on your son?
A couple weeks when she started, that's when I noticed bruises on his arms and everywhere else. So I knew he was being abused, but he couldn't tell me on his words because he's nonverbal.
Arnott was arrested on child abuse charges. District leaders say she was removed from the classroom as soon as they found out about the allegations.
A case here in Orlando is getting national attention as it could have some major implications for the future of artificial intelligence.
Yeah, a local mother is suing, saying a chatbot is responsible for her 14-year-old son's suicide. Suel Setzer fatally shot himself last year after his mom says he became addicted to the app Character AI. According to his mother's lawsuit, the bot had sexually explicit conversations with her son and discussed suicide. But at a hearing yesterday, the tech company argued the case should be thrown out, arguing its AI app is an expression of free speech. Garcia and her legal team say that's impossible.
And this is the first case to even decide whether generative AI is speech or not. If it's not the product of a human mind, if it's not the product of human volition, how is it speech?
The judge in this case plans to issue her ruling at a later date.
A history-making moment for Amazon as the company's first batch of internet satellites are being taken into orbit.
And liftoff of the United Launch Alliance Atlas V rocket.
Now you saw it right here live on News 6 last night as an Atlas V blasted off with 27 satellites on board for Amazon's Kuiper project. It's the first of more than 40 planned launches as the company hopes to compete with SpaceX, providing internet service around the world. Now, not to be outdone, but SpaceX had a launch of its own just a few hours later with the Falcon 9 taking up more Starlink satellites. They now have about 7,200 of those in orbit right now.
A month after this brush fire forced evacuations in Osceola County, the dry conditions, of course, continue to linger throughout central Florida. Some of us did get some rain yesterday, but it was very little. And while we wait for more of that rain, it's important to stay safe when it comes to outside burning. News 6's Stephanie Rodriguez live in Osceola County this morning, where a burn ban was issued this weekend. Stephanie.
Yeah, that burn ban, is still in effect today as the county and many other parts of the states are still in a high fire risk, and as humans are often the reason that wildfires happen. I spoke with officials here to learn ways to reduce our risk.
As you know, we have been experiencing some extended periods of dry conditions.
Osceola County Fire Rescue and EMS has been monitoring the drought index closely.
When we start to see those lower periods of precipitation combined with lower humidity, higher winds, that's really the kind of holy trinity for fire weather conditions.
They issued a burn ban over the weekend, meaning residents can't burn anything outside. This includes campfires, burning waste, and setting off fireworks. About 90% of wildfires here in the state of Florida are caused by humans. So making sure you're taking the precautions necessary to keep yourself and others safe is crucial during this dry period.
When we have these dry conditions and the winds, those embers can escape and they can trail on into dead vegetation, which can ultimately cascade the situation out of control very quickly.
Not burning is essential right now, but there are other ways you can also lower the chances of a blaze.
Make sure you're building that defensible space around your home, keeping your lawn cut, picking up dead vegetation from around your yard, trimming back those trees so they're not touching your home. Those things can be wildfire catalysts to get the wildfire from the woods to your yard.
So the burn ban for the unincorporated parts of Osceola County will stay in effect until that drought index is below a certain threshold for at least 7 days. We do have information on how you can check the drought index and the conditions in your area on this story right here on clickorlando.com. Reporting live in Osceola County, Stephanie Rodriguez, News 6.
All right, Stephanie, thank you. Let's get you back to your forecast. Speaking of the drought that Central Florida is experiencing, a lot of people have been asking that question, Candace. When is the start of rainy season? I mean, we hear April showers bring May flowers, but
that's not us.
That's not us. We're not part of that old adage.
No, I mean, at the end of the day, what we need for a rainy season is when we need humidity to be at a certain threshold, about the 70 percentile, right? We need dew points at that caliber. We need sea breezes to develop every day, and then we need the actual moisture to come through it. Now, the sea breeze, that's been already kind of starting up every afternoon. The only problem is we don't have the heat and humidity tied along with it to actually produce some of that rain. So on average, here in Central Florida, our rainy season tends to start at the end of May. So right now we're at the end of April. So we have almost about 4 more weeks till we really start seeing this. Now the good news is this can fluctuate. So sometimes it starts a little earlier in the year. Sometimes it starts later in the year. So during the 98 wildfires across Central Florida, our rainy season didn't start until July. So again, it can quite fluctuate quite a bit. If you're planning on enjoying the beaches for today, we're in those low 80s for today. We do have a high risk of rip currents, but right now out the door, it's a mild start. We're in those mid to low 70s, upper 60s in some of our northern zones. We'll have more details on the nice temperatures for today and a look for your next chance for rain in the forecast coming up in just a few minutes. Now let's check on those roadways with Trooper Steve. He's got your News 6 traffic update.
Downtown Orlando still looking nice this morning, kind of putting it right there in the center. Colonial, 408. I-4, Orange Avenue, and everything in between. Looking pretty decent. I'll even include Mills, Silver Star, College Park. Further north there around Lockhart, 441, headed northbound, running parallel there with Edgewater. No issues as you make your way up towards Piedmont and Maitland. But we are starting to see that eastbound delay a little bit along Maitland as you begin to approach Rose Avenue.
7:12 now. Today marks the 100th day since President Trump returned to office.
Straight ahead, a look at the president's campaign promises and his progress on achieving them so far.
Plus, a local woman describes the moment she faced off with a black bear. Trending this morning, the unusual weapon she used to get away. It's a milestone day for President Trump as he marks 100 days in office for his second term.
And it's been a whirlwind with the president working to quickly deliver on several of his campaign promises. Our News 6 Angie Casada is live right here in studio with us this morning, breaking it all down.
Hey, good morning, guys. Yeah, so these are the 4 big promises that President Trump campaigned on. That was illegal immigration, lower inflation, and tax cuts, as well as ending foreign wars. Now, this morning on his 100th day back in office, we're taking a look at where those promises stand.
It's got to stop, and we've got to have the largest mass deportation effort in history, and we're going to.
On immigration, illegal crossings at the southern border are way down, falling nearly 85% between December and March. And the administration says more than 139,000 people in the country illegally have been deported.
Today, as I'm standing here, we have the most secure border in the history of this nation, and the numbers prove it.
Inflation is lower than it was in January. Federal officials warn Trump's tariffs could drive prices up again. But the administration is now indicating it has reached a deal with automakers involving tariffs that could prevent at least some of those increases.
The White House at record speed is engaged in 35 different bilateral country-to-country, one-on-one trade deals. And every single one of those, the U.S. is going to come out better than where we started.
Tax cuts on tips and overtime? It's still just a promise. Trump will likely need help from Congress to make that happen. And despite campaign rhetoric, the war in Ukraine continues. And worth mentioning, many of Trump's executive orders, including on illegal immigration, have faced legal challenges and been blocked by judges. Democrats, meantime, have called Trump's tariffs a, quote, disaster for American families. In studio, Angie Casava, News 6.
Thank you, Angie. It was an emotional day for students at Florida State University. Yesterday, the student union reopened just days after that mass shooting there killed 2 people and injured several others. During the reopening ceremony, students were led into the union by school officials and law enforcement before a moment of silence was held. There was also free food and games for students. And while some students did not agree with reopening the student union, others said it was important for them, especially the seniors.
Creating the final memories for especially us seniors like this is like really impactful. So I'm really glad they did something that was purposeful and something that you could, bring your friends to as well to like kind of relish in that experience together. So I think they did a great job.
The student union is closed again today, with the university saying more operating hours will be announced at a later time. It is do or die for the Orlando Magic. They have to win tonight to keep their playoff hopes alive and avoid a round trip to Cancun, Mexico. The series is now back in Boston after the Magic lost to the Celtics Sunday at Kia Center. They now trail the first round series 3-1. It's not impossible to come back, but they do have to play nearly perfect tonight to get the job done against a very talented Boston Celtics bunch. The team is again having special watch parties for Game 5, and they're happening at those similar spots: Caribe Royale Hotel, Wall Street Plaza, and Social House, which is on Alafaya. All of those events start at 8 ahead of the 8:30 tip-off. A woman in Seminole County is sharing her close encounter with a black bear.
Yeah, she says that she was walking her dog when she came face to face with the animal over in Markham Woods.
I thought it was an off-leash dog at first, and then I realized it was a giant bear head. And she went across for Ringo, and I just pulled him away, and eventually I had him hanging in the air, dangling around.
Now, she says it was over within just a few minutes after using an unusual weapon.
I had remembered my mom, she lives right down the street, just stopped and handed me a bag of cookies out of her windows for my kids. And when I remembered I had them in my hand, I took the bag and I whacked the bear across the face with it.
I don't know if I'd be that upset getting hit with cookies. She ran to the front door, and the bear was seen walking away on her neighbor's security camera. I'm just glad she had something. Maybe just
Bag of cookies works, I guess.
Right?
I mean,
they must have been old.
Stale.
Yeah. They were not fresh out the oven.
No.
Nice and soft. But still, I think anything with
little.
those bears, I mean, clearly, they're not out to like attack anyone.
No.
I know that they're just out looking for food, and if you just scare them a little bit,
They're gone.
they're gone, right?
Yeah.
I mean, they're more scared of us than I think.
I guarantee your heart rate is way faster when you see them than they see you.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
So what is it? What do you have to do? Does anyone know what you're supposed to do when you see a bear? Like you're
Yell?
supposed to get
Oh,
big?
do you want us
Get
to start
big?
doing that on TV? I'm not gonna. Not gonna happen, Candace. Nice try.
All right, let's talk about the weather forecast.
I'm not gonna. I'm telling you, if I go face to face with a bear, I don't think there's anything that's gonna be able to come out. Like I'm not gonna be able to. It'll be like, like when you're so scared that you can't even, you can't.
It's like when they
nothing's
say-
gonna come out of your voice. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like what they say with the gators. You're supposed to like hit them like in the nose. I'm like, nothing in my brain's gonna be like, oh, actually let me get closer to.
Let me hit him in the nose.
Yeah.
Right in the snout.
I learned that at Gatorland last week.
Yes.
Not in the eyes, Nose. All right, let's talk about the weather again. I don't want to be anywhere close where I could hit him in the nose, so I'm good. Thank you. All right, let's talk about the weather forecast for this week. Temperatures, by the way, today will feel so nice and comfortable. We are back into those mid-80s this afternoon. Yesterday, we were closing in on the 90s. Today, we're going to shave off another like 5 to 8 degrees. So a nice start to the day. We are dodging a little bit of rain. So rain coverage for today can't be completely ruled out. Only about a 20% chance of some scattered showers. Then we'll kind of wrap up the rain chances for the rest of the week and then bring them back into the forecast. A little more consistent on Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday. That does not mean we're starting the rainy season. That just means that we're just appreciative of whatever rain we can get at this point in time. Looking at those rain chances for today, again, pretty uniform, about a 10 to 30% chance of rain. Fast-moving little rogue showers can't be ruled out. Not enough to make a big dent into the drought concerns, although yesterday's rain across our western zones, though, was fantastic, almost an inch of rain in some locations. Now temperatures out the door because we have some residual cloud cover and moisture from yesterday's rain. It's not super cool out there, upper 60s to mid 70s, pretty much area wide. But now let's check on that hour by hour forecast for today. Again, our average for this time of the year is 84. We're hitting that this afternoon with a little bump in those rain chances again, still on the lower side throughout at least the first half of the day. Looking at the clouds and rain forecast, there's that 20% chance of rain again, kind of sprinkling its way through along that strong east coast breeze for today. It looks like we will see a couple more scattered showers and thunderstorms, but really as of now, it looks like it will be pinned up right along the immediate Gulf Coast counties. And as we get results here with your full 7-day forecast, we're going to continue to gradually warm things up back to nearing 90, so enjoy this nice little touch of average temperatures as we head into the rest of the week, but then bring back another round of a couple scattered showers each afternoon starting this weekend. Now let's check on those roadways with Trooper Steve. He's got your News 6 traffic update.
Starting to see a little bit of those westbound delays along State Road 408, the east-west expressway there as you approach downtown Orlando, but no sudden slowdown, so you are good to go. Maitland, though, eastbound approaching Rose and OBT. Look at this one. This is going to slow you down. Westbound I-4 right now at Lake Mary Boulevard, kind of stop and go as those slowdowns begin to settle in. So just be cautious, increase your following distance. I say it all the time because why? Because it prevents second crashes or even a crash from happening in the first place. 417 still looking good. And then if you're headed out towards Daytona Beach, maybe to go hang out with this weather, you are in the clear. Taking a close look at FEMA's future.
At the bottom of the hour, the top Florida leader selected to work with the Trump administration.
But first, work to give a facelift to a well-known local home is now complete, when you can get a nice look at the renovations. Happening today, the official unveiling of the new and improved Van Gogh house in Mount Dora. The home first made headlines back in 2018 as the homeowners fought with the city officials to keep it painted. The Starry Night theme has recently gotten a beautiful facelift, with the home's history set to be part of an upcoming documentary. The upgrades also include an autism infinity symbol, as the families first painted the house to guide their autistic son home in case he ever wandered off.
New this morning, if you're hoping to make some extra cash this summer, SeaWorld is looking to fill more than 5,000 jobs. So the theme park's summer hiring event starts Monday, May 5th. It runs through May 9th. The company's CEO says that there are full-time, part-time, and seasonal positions available. So these job openings are for SeaWorld Orlando, Aquatica, and Discovery Cove, as well as its other locations across the globe.
All right, take a look at this. A group full of bad bunnies in Miami. Contestants lined up to compete in a Bad Bunny look-alike contest to determine who most resembled the Puerto Rican artist, but it wasn't enough just to look like the musician. Contestants also had to recite the rapper's lyrics in front of a very extremely enthusiastic crowd. The winner was a guy by the name of Kevin Amaro, won the top honors. I thought it was going to be Justin Warmoth, with a 3-year-old boy named Marcelo coming in a close second.
All right, yeah, they looked the part for sure. Big Bad Bunny guy. Well, it's a move to hold dog owners responsible.
Yeah, still to come, the major hurdle. One bill just passed as lawmakers crack down on dangerous dog attacks.
Live with ClickOrlando.com. You're watching News 6 Mornings.
Good morning, Central Florida. I'm Chief Meteorologist Candace Campos. Downtown Orlando, SkyCam brought to you by Light Orlando, delivering hope together. And a really nice start to the day. We're in the upper 60s across our inland zones, a touch warmer along the coast, where we are tracking just a couple fast-moving showers. Now, your rain chances throughout at least the next few hours will stay on the low side of things at only about 20%. But I also want to turn your attention to the afternoon temperatures. Look at that, back into those mid 80s, feeling very comfortable outside. So make sure you get out there and enjoy it because we'll be right back to nearing 90, dodging some rain just in time for your weekend. Now let's check on those roadways with Trooper Steve.
429, seeing those routine delays as you approach the Florida Turnpike this morning, and of course eastbound I-4 out by the attractions. Surprisingly though, northbound 535 also very slow from 192 all the way till 536, and then Pleasant Hill, Poinciana Boulevard seeing those routine delays, but currently Osceola County looking crash free. The news continues next. Remember, you get updates on any of our big stories anytime. ClickOrlando.com.
This portion of the news is sponsored by AK Certified Roofing. Live with ClickOrlando.com. You're watching News 6 Mornings.
7:30 now, let's get a check of our top stories. Grief counselors are expected back at Oak Ridge High School today after a 16-year-old girl was hit and killed on her way to class yesterday. One Orange County commissioner says she is trying to get better signs, crosswalks, and cameras in that area.
A bill cracking down on dangerous dogs is now a step closer to the governor's desk after passing in the Florida Senate. The bill is being championed by the parents of an 8-year-old Volusia County boy who was killed by a pair of dogs earlier this year.
And a live look at the radar this morning. You see that stuff? Yeah, that's something we haven't seen in a while. That's rain. For now, it's just the coast seeing those showers and not enough to really put a big dent in our drought. Maybe a little ding, a little door ding, a little Publix door ding action.
Yeah, you ding my door, we're going to have a problem. But we'll take what we can get at this point. Let's check back.
The cart just rolled right into it. What am I supposed to say?
And just ding, a little rain here. Chief, what do we got going on?
Oh, God. Like that does anything.
Right.
Little.
Oh, man.
Little elbow grease. All right, you know what? That's right. We are watching a little bit of rain right now, clipping parts of our coastline as temperatures right now starting off in the 60s and 70s. Now, we are going to continue to keep that chance of rain, only about a 20% right along the coastline and further inland, as we do have a strong breeze in place that is picking up our breeze at times between 15 to 20 miles per hour. So we do have a nice breeze that, by the way, is also going to be roughing up our surf. Right now, across areas that's just crisscrossing Brevard into Osceola County, it's hard to kind of keep track of these scattered showers because they're such fast movers. But we're going to continue to track a couple of those, and then across our southern zones, just crossing over Viera now, moving into western Brevard County, also seeing some moderate to heavy rain. But as we take you here throughout the next couple of hours for your theme park forecast, if you're planning on enjoying any of the parks across Central Florida, we are back into those mid 80s. Yesterday, we were close to 90. Today, we are right back to where they should be for this time of the year. Rain chances, again, will be at play for the next few hours, but then we'll end the day relatively dry. We'll have more details on when we can finally bring back maybe a couple of days of rain chances in the next 7 days coming up in just a bit. Now let's check on those roadways with Trooper Steve. He's got your News 6 traffic update.
Because we haven't had that much rain, that's like a little tease. We're like, come on, just give it to us already. 535, very slow this morning if you're headed northbound from 192. So you're gonna have to deal with the Poinciana Boulevard traffic, then deal with the 535 traffic. No crash out there. Not sure what's causing that this morning. A lot of you guys just headed out of the area. Pleasant Hill, very slow leaving Poinciana. And then Kissimmee St. Cloud, not too bad along 192, but it is going to slow you down a little bit westbound as you approach the Florida Turnpike.
Turning back to the tragic story at an Orange County high school, a 16-year-old girl struck and killed by a car on her way to class.
Yeah, this happened yesterday outside of Oak Ridge High School along Oak Ridge Road, and now one Orange County commissioner is now promising improved safety. News 6 Mark Lehman joins us live there this morning in Park. How is the school responding to this tragedy?
Well, administrators say grief counselors are available at the school today to help students process this tragedy. It's deeply affected a lot of people here, and it's leading to further calls to make things safer on the roads. The Florida Highway Patrol shutting down part of the road yesterday morning after a devastating scene near the campus of Oak Ridge High School. Students and teachers soon learning a 16-year-old student was hit and killed while trying to get to school.
Our thoughts and prayers are with the family as they go through this extremely difficult time.
Troopers say the teen was crossing outside a crosswalk when she came into the path of a 28-year-old driver. Commissioner Mayra Uribe is an Oak Ridge graduate and has been advocating for proper signs and crosswalks near schools.
This is a beacon pedestrian crosswalk, so it's intended and meant to stop traffic.
Uribe says she requested a school zone camera outside Oak Ridge to catch speeders in front of the school. FHP is not saying the driver in yesterday's crash was speeding, but Uribe says the hope is speed zone cameras will add an extra layer of protection to make things safer for everyone on the road.
This will hopefully prevent drivers from speeding anywhere near schools, anywhere near young people.
Orange County says 30 cameras have been approved to be installed near campuses to try and catch speeders speeding through school zones, and they're expected to be installed in 2026. As for the crash investigation, FHP says the driver involved remained on scene, but troopers have not said if she's facing any charges. For now, reporting live in Orange County, Mark Lehman, News 6.
Thank you, Mark. New this morning, a man who set his Longwood condo complex on fire out of anger at his homeowners association has been sentenced to 12 years in prison. The state attorney's office says 55-year-old Mark Herman doused his condo with gasoline before setting it on fire back in 2022. After the fire, Herman told a paramedic that he did it out of revenge against the HOA after his unit was foreclosed. He had owned that condo for 25 years. 3 other families lost their homes. Herman was sentenced to 12 years in prison, followed by 15 years probation.
A proposal to crack down on dangerous dogs just cleared a major hurdle, sailing through the state Senate with unanimous support. Our News 6 Angie Casada joins us in studio. And Angie, what does this mean for the future of the bill?
Yeah, Steve, this bill is nearing the finish line at the state capitol, set to hold dangerous dog owners more accountable. It's called the Pam Rock Act, and after passing unanimously in the Senate Monday, it now heads back to the House for a final vote.
The Pam Rock Act took another step forward Monday, clearing the state Senate with full support. The bill is named in memory of a postal worker killed by dogs while on her route and is now backed by the family of 8-year-old Michael Millett, who was mauled to death by 2 dogs in Volusia County earlier this year. Volusia County Sheriff Mike Chitwood traveled to Tallahassee for yesterday's vote.
I went up with Michael's family when it was in one of the Senate committees, and we testified along with the Pam Rock family.
The bill would create a statewide database for dangerous dogs so officers and prosecutors can track repeat offenders.
When law enforcement gets called in, they'll have it. And obviously, the state attorney's office, you know, when you're looking to charge or you're looking to pursue how you're going to go about this, to be able to look back and see the history of this person.
It also requires owners to carry $100,000 in liability insurance and allows dogs to be seized during an investigation.
Now, the bill was already approved in the House, but the Senate made a change, so it has to go back to be approved one more time. Now, if passed, it could be signed into law by the governor within days. Of course, we'll continue to follow the vote. Angie Casada, News 6.
Angie, thank you. Authorities in Clearwater now say the driver of a boat who crashed into a ferry packed with dozens of passengers did not have any alcohol in his system. We brought you this story yesterday morning as breaking news. 1 person was killed, 10 others injured when that boat slammed into a ferry near the Memorial Causeway Bridge. Investigators say the private boat went over 3/4 of the ferry, causing extensive damage.
There was definitely a point where both those boats were fully entangled, and a large amount of damage resulted to the ferry boat as a result of that entanglement.
There were 45 people on the ferry at the time of the collision. Officials say the driver of the boat is cooperating.
Lawyers for the former Orlando City Commissioner accused of exploiting a woman out of more than $100,000 are due back in court for a hearing today. So prosecutors say Regina Hill convinced the 96-year-old victim to give her power of attorney, then use that power of attorney to drain her life savings using the money from everything from buying a house to getting a cosmetic facelift. Hill maintains her innocence, and as it stands right now, the trial is set to start on May 12th.
With just over a month until this year's hurricane season, the future of the Federal Emergency Management Agency, or FEMA, remains up in the air. President Trump has repeatedly called for eliminating the agency, and then yesterday he named Florida Emergency Management Director Kevin Guthrie to a new review council. The president announced the creation of this council back in January, saying FEMA needs an overhaul. Guthrie told News 6 last week that even if FEMA is dismantled, Florida's response would stay the same.
We're going to keep doing those things. We're not going to respond based on whether or not the federal reimbursement is going to be there. We're going to do what's right for Floridians. We're always going to do that.
In President Trump's Truth Social post announcing the council's members, he wrote that they will, quote, work hard to fix a terribly broken system and return power to state emergency managers.
We're now waiting to see if new lanes on I-4 will bring any traffic relief to the attractions area. So We told you yesterday about the 2 new congestion relief lanes opening on I-4 between US 27 in Polk County and World Drive just east up in Osceola County. So the lanes opened 8 months ago, 8 months ahead of schedule, and are part of a much larger $2.5 billion expansion of I-4.
By adding that connectivity from Orange County to Polk County, we're able to give drivers that additional option.
Well, the project also includes interchange upgrades, bridge work, and added safety features. Full completion is still a few years away.
All right, 7:40, just about 7:40 on your Tuesday. Chief Meteorologist Candace Campos taking a look at those rainfall totals. It was really nice to get some rain yesterday for some lucky folks.
Yeah, congratulations to you in Leesburg, Ocala, Claremont.
You won the lottery.
Windermere and Kissimmee, look at that. You had measurable rain across Central Florida. And some of that rain fell close to the I-4 corridor, but most of it, like we talked about a lot yesterday, was going to be west of I-4 towards the 75 corridor. So Claremont, more than a half an inch of rain, more than 3/4 in Ocala, and close to an inch of rain in Leesburg, where Windermere and Kissimmee was a little less, but hey, there was something, right? Right now we are dealing with a couple scattered showers, starting to accumulate a little bit of rain across parts of Brevard County. Not enough to change any drought or burn bans or whatnot. We need consistent rain for about 7 to 10 days to actually start seeing some improvements. But listen, this is the start, right? We are watching a little bit of rain that's crisscrossing now from Brevard into parts of Osceola County. Rain chances for today along that strong breeze will keep it about 20% for the next few hours. It won't be all day. So again, as the kids are running to that bus stop over the next hour or so, for coastal communities, Osceola, Brevard, you're the only ones that really need the rain gear. But then into the afternoon, everyone will be able to sit back and enjoy some really nice temperatures back to near normal. So for those who are wondering if this was already the kickstart of rainy season, it is not. We're going to dry things out a little bit for the next couple of days, but another cold front is expected to try to make its way into Central Florida, which will be ramping up those rain chances again for your weekend. We'll have more details on what the temperature trend will also be looking like in the meantime, coming up in just a bit. Now let's check on those roadways. It's your Steve. He's got your News 6 traffic update.
I guess it's all perspective, because once the rainy season officially sets in, we're all going to be like, man, we really wish we get a sunny day or something like that. 192, we're seeing those slowdowns right around 192 and Simmons, actually, where I'm going to be on patrol later today, but I'm going to mention that in a second. 35 minutes, Sanford to downtown Orlando, it's on the rise. But Daytona, look at you guys. You guys are looking good along I-95 and, of course, I-4. All your connections out there, even further north towards the Flagler Beach area, looking good. Yesterday on patrol, we talked about how every single one of you, if you drive a vehicle, we are required to be Real ID compliant by May 7th. You can watch that conversation between myself and the Seminole County Tax Collector representative over at clickorlando.com. Today, right by where that delay is that we saw on the map, I'm going to be down towards Simmons, Parton Settlement, 192 in Kissimmee, talking about how you guys are just jumping lanes and doing all sorts of stuff right there. So join me today at 10 a.m. Should be a good Tuesday. It is now 7:42. You might have seen this crazy video. A speedboat goes airborne at 200 miles an hour.
Yeah, the video is wild, and what happened next is probably even more surprising. Coming up, we're going to take a look at the new video showing how the 2 people on board this survived and walked away basically unharmed.
First, though, where to go when picking someone up from Orlando International Airport, and if choosing the wrong place to wait deserves a ticket. Yes, we'll break it down coming up next. It's time for Ask Trooper Steve, where I get to answer some of the questions that you send in to me. And I frequent the airport quite often, had a conversation with somebody, and this topic came up. So this is what we're talking about. I recently got a ticket for parking on the shoulder by a deputy at the airport. What's up with that? George went on to kind of explain that he was really upset that a deputy was doing it. And to I'm like, what's the issue here? So listen up. You guys have seen this. You travel over at Orlando International Airport. MCO has paid so much money for these cell phone lots, for these areas for you to wait so that this does not occur. Parking on the shoulder is not only illegal, it's extremely dangerous because people aren't expecting you out there. It's also a security risk. Post 9/11, a lot of things have changed. I remember when you could hang out in 528 and watch the planes fly over. Can't do that anymore, and you should not be parking out here. So safety. Second, there are signs littered along the shoulder that say no stopping or standing along the shoulder. The second you do that, you are now in violation of a traffic control device because the sign says don't do that. So what happened, the deputy told him to move. That deputy didn't believe him, circled back around, and George was still standing there. So George got a ticket. That deputy is an Orange County deputy within Orange County, whether it's the city or not, has jurisdiction to enforce all laws. So next time, go find a different lot, or if you told the cop you're going to leave. If you got a traffic safety question, you want me to answer it, head on over to clickorlando.com/AskTrooperSteve.
Hundreds of law enforcement officers gathered in Tallahassee to honor those who died in the line of duty. Yesterday, the Florida Sheriff's Association held its annual law enforcement memorial ceremony. This year's event focused on 8 colleagues who died this year, a canine, and 11 officers from years past.
This is more than just a tradition. It is more than just a ceremony. This is a promise that we all make here together, that we will never forget.
And this was the 43rd year for the event.
Happening today, school leaders in Marion County are set to sign off on a new superintendent, but she might not be on the job for very long. So the board is set to formalize a deal with Dr. Danielle Brewer to take over for current superintendent Diane Goulet, who is leaving in July. The agreement includes $169,000 salary plus benefits, but Brewer, who is currently a senior administrator with the district, will only be the interim superintendent while the district continues its search for a permanent one. They're hoping to have that search finished by the spring of next year.
Well, you might have seen this crazy video on social media. It's quite viral of speedboat going for a record. Instead goes airborne right there. Poof. More than 200 miles an hour. Thankfully, get this, the 2 people inside, they're doing okay. And this morning we're getting an inside look at how they survived that crash with maybe just a couple bruises. Now, if you see, I've never seen the inside of a speedboat, but this is what it apparently looks like. The 2 were securely strapped inside as that boat flipped several times before crashing back down.
A little bit sore and banged up, but for the most part, I mean, they're happy. The boat can be fixed. It's all just parts in a little bit of time, so we were just glad that nobody had any major injuries.
You ain't kidding, especially watching that video over and over. It's truly shocking that no one was seriously injured. That speedboat hit 210 miles an hour, and they won the annual race on Lake Havasu in Arizona. I'd hope so. So they get to walk away with a trophy as well. But yeah,
watching it go up, and then you could tell like the wind caught it a second time, and then it goes the other way. It's like you think it's done, and it's like, no, we got one more barrel roll for you.
It reminds me of like Chitty Chitty Bang Bang, where it was like a car that then flies.
Yeah.
It's a flying car. This was like a flying boat. We have boats that can drive at Disney Springs, but this takes it to a whole other.
They're coming out with cars now that just drive into the water. I've seen.
I mean, like a duck boat?
Yeah.
Yeah, like those duck boats.
They look
in
normal,
Boston.
and they just right in.
That's more my speed than a duck boat rather than a speedboat.
Than a car plane.
A car plane?
That'd be cool.
That'd be cool. Car chopper. Why not?
Sign me.
All right, let's talk about whatever gets me around traffic. All right, taking a live look. What's going on in the satellite and radar composite? Thankfully, nobody was hurt there. Geez Louise. Big ridge of high pressure is in control, sitting just off the eastern seaboard, bringing with it more of that onshore flow once again for another day. Now, this high is going to be bringing us a nice day, everybody. We're back into those mid 80s. Yesterday, we're closing in on 90. Today, we're going to shave off another 5. It's about 8 degrees. than yesterday afternoon. Now, the other thing we're not really dealing with much is rain for today. We had a lot of rain across our western communities yesterday. Today, our rain chances will be a little lower. Now, if you look at the Orlando calendar here, it looks like the dry streak will continue. We didn't rack up any measurable rain at the airport. But again, like we talked in the beginning of the half hour, areas of Leesburg and Ocala, Claremont racked up more than half an inch, almost an inch of rain. So again, it's all dependent on where you are. But hopefully we can continue to add a little more rain, though, as we head into the weekend, beginning of May. Looking at those rain chances for today, not completely bone dry. We still have a little bit of residual moisture that will continue to scatter in. A couple of those scattered showers we've been tracking throughout the morning along the coast will continue to hold and possibly push further inland, but they won't last very long, and they really won't rack up that much rain. Now, temperatures out the door, we're in the upper 60s, the low 70s. If you want to maybe take a lunch outside today, the weather is going to be comfortably warm. Now let's check here on your hour-by-hour forecast for today. That's your high, 84 by 4 p.m. under partly cloudy skies. Again, a little bit of that spotty rain early in the day, and we're calling it slightly cooler. I wouldn't say it's a cold day, but certainly comfortably warm. Now, looking here at the clouds and rain forecast, still picking up a couple of those fast-moving rogue showers that could hold off the coast. It looks like some more scattered showers and thunderstorms could be favoring right along the immediate Gulf Coast counties. But for us locally here, it's again just those fast-moving showers. And then on Wednesday, much drier. We're really going to be tapping into that dry air Wednesday, Thursday, and into Friday. And then come Saturday and Sunday, we're watching another weak frontal boundary. This is not all rain. This is actually mid-level moisture, kind of when you sandwich the atmosphere. This is more like the mid to upper levels. And that is what's going to help fuel the added moisture. So when we get those sea breezes coming together, we'll be able to actually pick up some rainfall. As we get results here, the full 7-day forecast, before we get to enjoy, and fingers crossed we get some more rain for the weekend, it is going to get hot. Highs back to near 90 come Friday. Now let's check on those roadways with Trooper Steve. He's got your News 6 traffic update.
Getting a little busier out there this morning. Your drive time slowly on the increase, but if you're headed towards the airport, things good. Westbound I-4, though, slow. 36 minutes, Sanford to downtown Orlando. And this crash just came out. Add disaster to a recipe that already has it. Pleasant Hill Road at OBT. There is a crash there causing severe delays northbound and outside close towards the community of the Oaks. If you don't live there, then you don't have an issue. Just be careful because we do have some lanes currently shut down.
Breaking overnight, lights slowly coming back on across Spain after a massive blackout left cities in the dark. The investigation underway to figure out what caused the sudden shutdown.
Breaking overnight, those are cheers from people in Madrid as the power begins to return after a mass blackouts hit Spain and Portugal. Now, overnight, we learned about 90% of power has been restored to Spain's national grid. It comes after the area was plunged into darkness yesterday. Spain's Interior Ministry declared a national emergency as flights were grounded, transport systems stalled, and hospitals suspended routine operations. Right now, officials say they aren't sure exactly what caused that outage, but it was not a cyber attack.
New this morning, Volusia County deputies are asking for your help to track down an unlicensed roofer accused of scamming a homeowner. Deputies say 43-year-old Andrew Ingram, the owner of Busy Bee Roofing in Edgewater, took a $21,000 deposit in November, but never filed a permit or even started the job. Investigators say the Port Orange customer asked for a refund and never heard back. Ingram now has an active arrest warrant for scheming to defraud and grand theft. Anyone with information is asked to call the Volusia Sheriff's Office.
In your health headlines, did you know which arm you choose to get a vaccine shot could make a difference? I didn't, so let's find out together. Well, a study by the Garvan Institute found if you get a booster vaccine in the same arm as your first dose, the immune response happens quicker, often within the first week, but it appears to be only for that time period. The study says after a few weeks, the level of protection is the same, no matter which arm you get your follow-up shot in. Interesting. Candace.
All right, and so let's take a live look outside right now. Downtown Orlando looking pretty nice. We're in the upper 60s inland. Mild start, mid-70s along the coastline, but throughout the rest of the afternoon, we are running comfortable. Back into those mid-80s. Can't rule out the chance of a few passing sprinkles for the next few hours. But then we're really going to kind of take the rain chances out of the story here Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, and then bring them back in as we head into that weekend. A weak cold front comes through, or at least tries to approach the area, warming us up, closing in on near 90 by Friday and Saturday, and then a couple sea breeze scattered showers can't be ruled out for the weekend, Steve.
So you can't use rain as an excuse on why traffic is causing problems
for the most
out
part,
there.
yeah.
Pleasant Hill, we do have a crash at Pleasant Hill and OBT. Please be careful if you're getting ready to leave Poinciana area. This is not a good spot to have a crash because we have traffic there whether there's a crash or not. John Young, be careful.
All right, thank you, Steve. Thanks for joining us this morning. We break news on clickorlando.com.
You can find all our stories, News 6 Plus app for your TV.
Hope you have a great Tuesday. See you.